In this world, angels live among us. Many great invincible beings of immeasurable power, a bridge between us and the gods. These creatures are not as you might imagine them. While some are human-like in their appearance, most are alien. A sitting mountain, a giant boar, a hovering sphere. Each of the angels provides a powerful boon to the surrounding area and its inhabitants. They do not speak to us. They do not move. We built our world around them. They shaped our cultures. We rely on them. Until something dark came along. Now, one by one, the angels have been slain. The people of the lands around them slaughtered. A wave of death is spreading across our world. Only a few places remain as a final bastion of life. Only a few against an endless horde of oblivion. And within these few, a single band of unlikely heroes, bound by forces beyond their understanding. In this world, there is only a single word that describes their soul-bound connection.
Watchtower 33. Sitting around 50 feet tall, with 5 distinct levels, including a rooftop lookout, constructed partly from ironwood and timber. You would see that this tower looks ancient. This thing looks like it has been around for a very, very long time. Vines and moss cover parts of the walls, but those walls and the wood are weathered, considering the harsh conditions it has withstood over the years. And as the day wanes, a sort of autumnal chill takes to the air, and on the lookout floor, a carrier pigeon lands on the arm of a thin young elf. He takes the note from the ankle of the bird and places the pigeon within one of the cobes. He opens the small note and his eyes widen. However, within the tower itself, the hearth flickers at one side of the room, and we see the faces of 3 other elves. What are Baryon, Felkor, and Cirrus doing, do you think? And when we come to see these characters, what do we see?
What time of day is it?
Roll me a d24, let's find out.
17.
5 p.m.
I think that at this time I would be in the main hall cleaning my weapon, my longsword.
Okay. What do we see? Who are we looking at?
You see before you a elf, a high elf, dark in complexion, head shaved, a beard, ears pointed out through the beard like a nest. A bit of a bigger build than a usual you might expect from our kin. My body seems to have been marred by battle. Before you see this elf dressed in black and red filigree. Mail armor out of something not quite iron, not quite wood, but something perhaps fey. He's in the hall, cleaning his longsword, his shield still strapped to his back, while at the same time muttering. Notice that he might be instructing any passers-by about the finer arts and crafts, looking after one's tools.
Yeah, I think there is a passerby. Felcor, what are you doing?
Yes, I think Felcor is... Well, he's an elf, younger, not overly young, at 120. He is walking back from the kitchen with a glass of wine, going to sit at a table to play some chess by himself, well, sort of by himself. You see, across the table playing on the other side is a sort of translucent grey outline of himself. And if you watch closely, he will move a piece on one side of the chessboard, and then he will move his body and switch places with the grey translucent outline and move the chess piece on the other side of the board.
Yeah, a pretty common sight of Felcor sort of flitting back and forth between these, between his sort of corporeal form and this odd sort of translucent outline. Lastly, we come to Cirrus, and what is she doing, and how does she look compared to what we normally would see?
Yeah. Cirrus is sat up. I'm sat up on a windowsill or sort of any surface that I can look out over the view from. And I'm wearing sort of comfortable but prepared clothes, leathers, reds and blacks. My hair is shorter. I look quite a bit younger. And I look like I got a chip on my shoulder. And I'm trying to peel the skin from an apple. Trying to not rip the skin as much as possible.
All right. Give me a survival check.
Oh, goodness.
Remember to roll from your
It's young. Yes.
young Cirrus, and then at the bottom it says as. Change that to whatever your character is as well, because then it will tell us in the thing.
Oh, yes. Okay. I did.
You got 2 natural 20s there. So you tell me how this goes.
What, the apple?
Yeah, I mean, this is what you're doing. The survival check is
Yeah.
for how you do this.
Yeah. So I bring the apple up to my mouth and I pierce it a tiny bit. My teeth are kind of sharp. So I use my canine and I pierce it. And then I'm using my hands. I'm not using a knife. I just start to peel the skin, pulling it from the flesh of the apple. And I'm doing it very focused and very delicately in as many rings around as possible until the skin comes completely off.
Yeah, it's amazing.
With one hand as well, right?
Well, I'm holding the apple in this hand and then using the other hand to peel it off, yeah.
I think you'd hear Falcor scoff under his breath and mumble something.
You want to give me a perception check, Cirrus?
Yeah, I do. If I hear him mumble, I kind of like cast a look under my brow. Oof.
5.
Yeah.
Yeah, You hear him mumble, but I don't think you can make out anything.
Yeah, if you
I
look,
kind of.
he's
Oh yeah.
not giving you a friendly look. His eyes are narrowed. Looks disgusted.
I eat the skin and throw the apple out the window, keeping his gaze.
He turns away from you and continues to play dragon chess with himself.
Yeah. Who's winning?
I am, of course.
Yeah. So you hear the sound of the steps, sort of the wood of the stairs creaking as you can hear the fourth member of your group moving down from the roof. Wix is on lookout. He shouldn't really be coming down here, so that would be odd to all of you. He kind of scurries past you, Falcor, and then moves past you, Cirrus, and heads towards where Baryon is, and says, "Weezer's got a message.
Speak.
Major Relnish's sigil, sir." And he hands you a tiny little, pigeon note.
I take the note from him in one hand, nodding. It's not forceful, it's just deft.
Yeah. Yeah, this is what it is. See this written here. Relnish is the person that you report to, Major Relnish.
Hmm. 34, no check-in. Take 2. Very well. Well, we must make haste as soon as possible. I trust you'll look after the fort while we're gone.
Sir.
I say to Wix. I give him a salute in kind. What is our elven salute?
It's the exact one from Attack on Titan.
Ah,
No, I don't
Which
know.
are?
What do you think it is? This is Cirrus's people. What do you think, Cirrus?
Oh. I do kind of like the one from Attack on Titan,
All right.
to be honest. Yeah,
Sold.
I think I want to
They do
keep
that.
it.
They do that thing.
Yeah.
which arm is Cirrus's weaker?
My right arm.
I think it's done with the right arm.
I always perform the salute with my left arm. My right arm is concealed, usually. It's sort of like wrapped up in bandages and leathers, and when we're out in battle, for all intents and purposes, I might as well just not have a right arm in terms of what it looks like and how it's shielded.
At this point, I want to know what happened the first time you did that for this group.
With my left arm.
Yeah, you came up. You were told
Yeah.
to report to this place. You would have approached on your horse. You would have found this tower. I think they probably would have sent you by yourself, to be honest, to report to this tower. Maybe you had an escort some of the way, but you would have arrived eventually as the recruit and the replacement that you are. You would have, been introduced to Valiant Wix, Valiant Felcor, and Captain, I keep going to call him Brunor, which is the vampire that you guys encountered before Baryon. And then at some point during that, you would have had to have given a salute. And I'm curious how that went.
I would like to know.
I want to know specifically what Felcor did as well. But yeah, carry on.
Well, before this, I'd like to know, were we warned what was coming to our tower?
Absolutely not. You would have been told you're getting a replacement soon enough.
Was I scouting? Was I on the rooftop?
Roll me a d4.
for. So I would have come running down the stairs and said, "We are being attacked by Dragonborn," shouting it, and ran out the front door.
Yeah, Wix would have grabbed his longsword, would have reported to you. Berion.
I would have gone out the front door as well. Stepped in front of my two, shield in hand. But upon seeing her approach, I would have more than likely told my men to stand down. I presume she had in her free hand a writ from the kingdom.
Yeah, she would also be in the full uniform of the Aedus elves.
I think that day, after a cursory glance to make sure she wasn't wearing the bloodied uniform of one of ours, Berion has this expression on his face that isn't stern, not really, but maybe perhaps tinged with a bit of sorrow. I think that day, seeing this half-elf at our doorstep, maybe perhaps he grew an extra wrinkle that day. But he didn't say anything.
I don't think Wix would have been too reserved with his questions, but I don't think he would have been. I don't think you'd get the sense that he disliked you for your Dragonborn heritage. Like, he would have been asking you questions all day. The moment he could. Where are you from? What's going on? Was your mum or your dad? Wait, what is this? Are your grandparents? How are you in our army? Why didn't they, just stuff like that? He would have been just sort of questioning you constantly. Felcor would have been on watch, which means he would have been at the top of this. He would have had a longbow drawn on you as soon as you sort of approached, after being told to stand down. How did Felcor treat Cirrus on the first day?
Like the enemy that she is, of course. Look at her. I look at her with disgust and disdain every time she catches me glancing. She knows what I feel, and I've probably said it to her more than once.
Yeah. 3 months later, we're here. And, Berion, so you begin. How do you prepare everybody, and what do you do, and what do you say? And
after getting this note, I stand up. I brush myself off, and my sword is already clean. I sheath it, and then Valiant Felcor, half-light. We have a job to do. It appears that our neighbors at Tower 34 have not checked in. Something's amiss.
All right. After you, Felcor.
Yes, sir. I say to Berion, obviously, and I'm out the door.
I sidle up to Berion. Never called me sir before. And then I follow.
Cirrus, I say to her as she walks towards the door.
Yeah.
You would do well to refer to your senior officer as Valiant, half-light. You need to do more than most to fit in. I'm sure you know that, right?
Yeah, all right. Sorry.
I pause. Care to try that one more time?
I apologize, sir.
Very well. Let's go then.
Okay. You have horses, but it's up to you whether you take them. By horseback, it's going to take you 3 to 4 hours to get there.
Then we do.
Okay. Yeah. We see you guys mount up. Wix lights one of the symbols at the top of the tower that suggest that members are out ranging. You see him sort of do the salute, and we see the 3 of you trot out on horseback and start moving through the Aedus forest. So you're in 33, 34 is south of you, with 35 being at the most southeastern tip of the kingdom. 35 is basically a lighthouse. It's literally on the ocean. 34 is the most southeastern forest-based watchtower. And I think you probably know the way very well. But let's get some survival checks from all 3 of you as you begin to travel through the forest. And just a note, let's just check here. Everybody here should have a longsword and a long bow. If you don't, you can add one. Want to know how to do that? I didn't check your sheets properly.
I've got them.
Okay.
I am sorry.
I have 2 short swords.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, totally fine. Okay, great. Just checking you guys are armed with the military standard, but you are going the Legolas route, which I will allow. He's got those 2 little Legolas swords.
I carry my longbow even though I can't use it. And these guys know that I can't use it, really.
Yeah, you're not allowed to not carry it.
Yeah.
She would be out of uniform if she was.
Yeah, with the 3 of you on horseback, what is the uniform? Is it the same as Barion's, or do you have like a captain's uniform? Is yours slightly different?
I would like to say that here on the perimeter, we don't demarcate our superiors. Not quite, anyway. If anything, there would be a small wooden patch on my shield.
Okay. A 7 from Baryon, a 22 from Cirrus, and a 21 from Thrak. There. Which is why I said make sure you click the rolling as thing at the bottom. That's what that does. It lets you switch between the varying character sheets that you'll have as we do any of these flashbacks. Not including the Thrak one because you didn't need actual character sheets. Yeah, you're able to navigate through the forest pretty easily. There isn't necessarily a path exactly, but I think that there is a well-known route that is now and again traveled. Part of your ranging duties would be to range southwards to a certain, area where you would potentially meet with the other members of the other towers. The same would go for north of you to Watchtower 32 as well. So I think half the way of this journey really well. The second half of the journey, why is it, do you think, that Baryon rolled a 7 here? Because he probably knows better than anybody here. He's probably extremely skilled at this kind of thing, even though I know we can see his official stats, but, roleplay wise, I wouldn't imagine that he wouldn't normally roll a 7,
When we go ranging, we all play our separate tasks. And for this, Berion puts a lot of trust into Felcor. He is one of our more accomplished rangers within our troop, and as of late has had to pick up a certain degree of slang. So, Berion, I believe, would be focusing on other matters at hand, thinking to himself, what exactly is playing out here in Tower 34? And if young Cirrus is up to the task, whatever it may be.
Okay. Yeah, we see them on their horses moving through the forest. And this forest is significant. It is a huge forest that expands across the entire kingdom for the most part. There are some meadows and there are some open plains and fields here and there, but generally speaking, in terms of the size of this kingdom, and Aedus is one of the sort of mid to larger size kingdoms in the world. It is almost entirely forest, and the trees here are huge. They tower up to ridiculous heights. Their branches weave a dense canopy across a lot of the kingdom. It does mean that you spend a lot of time in a sort of perpetual twilight. The sun will burst through in places, and moonlight and such at night, but it is a pretty repetitive sight, and with no sort of sun or moon easy guidance, it does kind of become this monotonous journey, I think. The woods here are ridiculous. Everything here, and some of the creatures as well, but the foliage, the trees, the flowers, the grass, the vines, everything grows with an extraordinary vitality. It is quite literally infused with magical essence. The trees, even the grass, will instantly regrow when you cut it. Now, I don't mean it sort of springs, like pops back immediately, but it immediately begins regenerating. A blade of grass will grow back to what it was cut from a day before. A tree would take many years, but it would immediately start growing again. The understanding from the elves here is that the roots of everything connect to a single spot, which is somewhat towards the center of the forest. It's kind of more northwest than dead center, but where the capital city is Aedus, and the angel, the phoenix, which is a perpetual flame, in stark contrast to the wood and the foliage and the greenery. But it's said that the roots all connect underground to that point, and the angel provides unbelievable vitality to the area, amongst a couple of other things as well. So this monotonous journey continues. Who out of the three of you probably would be at the forefront of this, who would potentially be scouting for any sort of creatures or maybe even enemies? Whose elven eyes are the elven eyes?
I don't think that is something I'm particularly skilled at currently, but it would be me, because our old scout is no longer with us, and we have a useless half-life taking her place.
Okay. Give me a perception check then, please.
A 7.
A 7. Cirrus, give me a perception check. While you've passed over, you've been traveling for maybe about 2 hours. Pretty unnotable. Nothing major has happened. You've seen creatures. It would be like stags and things, elks and deer, but nothing that strikes you as dangerous necessarily. There are no like quaggoths waiting to jump out at you. But you pass by a tree. The tree is pretty far away. This is some elven eye, VATS, zoom in stuff. But you recognize that one of the trees here is damaged quite significantly. One underside of this tree has been chipped away, almost clawed at. You'd suspect maybe some sort of animal's clawed at this thing. And there are scorch marks along the tree as well. You're about halfway through your journey, but you're a little bit more on the Tower 33 side of things. So this isn't really your area any longer. But this is something that I think, may be surprised that Felcor doesn't bring up. You are muted.
Speak up.
From behind
Captain,
you.
sir.
Speaking, yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Captain, sir.
Yes. Speak.
Light of the East. That tree up there.
What of the tree?
Damage, scorch marks, claws.
You would see it immediately. So would you, Falcor. You just simply missed it at one point.
I raise my left hand to stop the horses. I would like to believe that the horses themselves would instinctively stop, even before the reins are pulled, and turn my horse cautiously towards the scorch marks. I turn to my two, and I say, stay on your guard, and approach.
I draw my sword.
Yeah. Baryon, you can give me a perception or an investigation check if you'd like. But no, actually,
Investigation
Baryon,
or perception?
you can have, if you haven't got it already, a proficiency in history. I know that's not prevalent right now. I just remembered it, that's all.
Very well. An 11 for perception.
11 for perception. You don't get the sense that this was done recently, as in today. It must have been done recently enough that the tree hasn't begun to regenerate. A wound to a tree like this would regenerate over a matter of months, but there doesn't seem to have been any level of regeneration yet, so this would have been done within the last week or two, maybe. The immediate area surrounding this tree, you don't see anything or sense anything off. It doesn't seem like whatever has done this is still here anymore. Yeah. What else would you like to do?
Aside from the scorch mark here on the tree, is there any damage surrounding it?
There is, there are several trees in this kind of cluster. Once you get closer, you can see that some of the trees behind this one also have scorch marks, but not the scratching. Suggesting that some sort of flame was projected in this direction. The scratching and the claw marks is a little, it just seems very haphazard.
Would I have recognized these scratch marks from any creatures that we are aware of?
You can give me an investigation or a nature check.
Investigation or nature? Both not so good. A 13.
13. Whatever did this was a pretty big. The claws are... The clawing is chaotic. it seems like it isn't like just a scratch, you know. It seems like something kind of wailed on this tree for whatever reason. So there's just sort of scratch marks throughout this thing. Every now and then, bears and owl bears and things of that kind of nature will sort of scratch these trees up. They do it in a way to sort of like sharpen their claws and things, and this looks similar to that, but it's quite hard to determine what creature would have done this. You get the sense that it would certainly be something bigger than you are, bigger than a sort of an average elf size, bigger than your average sort of humanoid. Maybe not as big as something like an owlbear or a bear, but closer to that size.
Lastly,
yeah.
How far away yet are we from Outpost 34?
Got about an hour and a half to 2 hours.
In which case, I turn to my two, and I tell them, you both best stay on your guard. While this may not be connected to the outpost, we don't want to be set upon by some errant beast. Come now. And I head back onto the trail.
Yeah.
I
okay.
salute. Yes, sir. Give me yes, sir. And I'm
also
back
salute.
on my horse
Yes, sir.
immediately.
Back on
I-
the horses.
Glance to her left-handed salute, just for a second, but I'm used to it now. She gets a curt nod from me.
Is Falcor used to it?
No, I don't look at her when she salutes. Disgusts me.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think you continue on with the rest of your journey. It was 5 o'clock when you left. The journey's about 4 hours. You're pushing autumn. Night falls as you travel for the remainder of this journey. Is there anything significant that you're looking for or preparing for or doing on this last section? I'd say predominantly the last hour as you approach Watchtower 34.
As my scouts are keeping an eye out on dangers nearby, I want to think that my sights are on the horizon to where we're going, much in the same way as ours left a beacon as we left to signify our roaming. I intend to spot if there are any errant signals way before we need to worry.
Okay. Give me a perception check.
A 14.
Okay. Anyone else doing anything?
Yeah, I would keep I'm keeping an eye on everything around us since Falcor is clearly unable to.
Okay. Falcor, what are you doing? Anything specific?
I'm performing my duties as scout,
All right.
as
Where you go?
ordered.
Mhm.
Give me a perception check as well, then, please.
Yes, I think I am. Actually,
It's nice to
Eat-
see you dialed in
eat
for once.
that.
That was a natural 20 for listeners.
Yeah. Okay, so very on Cirrus, you don't pick up on anything of note, but that isn't to say that you fail. I think you are aware that you don't pick up on anything of note. Whatever was leaving the sort of the damage or whatever had done that, and whatever else might be out there doesn't spring out to you. There isn't really anything that you can recognize as you progress. Felcor, about half an hour out from Tower 34, you do recognize now that you're on the trail of something else. You eventually, during this pathfinding, I think you probably find the path that the elves of Tower 34 use to travel to and from and range this area. So you actually are able to pretty quickly determine, that probably over the last, many years, but specifically within the last few weeks, you can see that there are movements of other horses that would have come through the area as they move out, probably in groups of two, pairs of two, to go and do morning, noon, evening, early morning scouts, same as you would do at your tower with one of the others. And when they come back, they would come back on this route. So you're able to follow that eventually and be able to literally pathfind for the rest of the group. However, you notice that something else seems to be moving along with this this path. Something else kind of got onto this trail as well and started following it, because the markers that you would be looking for to potentially, if you were tracking something, no longer just suggest horses and riders on the back of horses, but that something else was moving through the underbrush as well. There's a little bit more damage to some of the foliage. There's a little more a suggestion of a bulkier thing moving through the underbrush, and it would have also followed this same route, which almost certainly leads to the tower. You're definitely heading in the right direction, but it's ahead of you.
Right. As soon as I noticed this, I would raise a hand to signal for us to stop, and then I would wait for the captain to approach to get
As
a
his
reward.
hand raises, I believe all three of our horses stop instinctively. Then, with a light tap, mine proceeds. What is it?
There's something that's gone on the trail. I'm not sure what it is, but I think it's close.
Very well. Both of you be on your guard.
It's big, Captain. And even though my head is faced forward towards the threat, I flick my eyes to the side. Do you think it could be a wyvern?
I, for one, hope not. However, if it is, we will be prepared.
I
Ride
nod.
on. Ride on. Keep on young Sirius's right-hand side.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I guess Felcor, make me another perception check for the final portion of this.
12.
Okay. Nothing jumps out at you. Nothing seems to be hiding. Nothing seems to be sort of lying in wait. Doesn't seem to be any traps or anything like that. You make your way along the forest floor, and eventually, where your watchtower is built out of sort of a natural rocky outcropping that was mined away, and then the forest grew up around it. 34 takes you up a natural incline to a sort of an overlook that is still not as high up as the tree canopies, but sits up once the watchtower is built, and the watchtower here is built partially out of stone as well as wood. This watchtower sits kind of on a stone outlook. As you get a little closer, this one's a little further east, so it's a little closer to the Lernian kingdom, which is just a big wasteland of rock and volcanoes and things. The forest gives way to a lot more stone and rock in this area, and this is one of the first signs of it, and your horses follow up a very obvious trail. The area here, however, is a little more open. The canopy breaks away and you get an actual view of the night sky from 34. I have no idea if you've been here before. It's very possible you've been stationed here before with the way that the rotations work, but this one is actually set up, and you can see the tower ahead of you, and you can also see around the tower in your approach to it. There doesn't appear to be anything sort of obviously untoward as you approach it. However, much to this artwork's chagrin, this tower looks a little something like this, but where this has lights, there are none. The tower itself is intact but sort of eerily quiet. No signs of any sort of like battle going on or anything like that, but there should be lights. You should at least see firelight, camp light, torch light. While obviously all of the elves have dark vision, you don't see in color. It's much nicer to live with firelight and torchlight. There are obviously certain situations in which you would douse all of the flames, but it's very strange for this to be happening. On top of that, it's very strange to not suddenly see movement. If you were on watch at your tower and you saw 3 figures on horseback moving towards your tower, you would be immediately responding to that. If you'd be moving, you'd be reacting, you'd be loading arrows into a long bow, something like that. Potentially lighting signal fires, things like that. There are no lights, there are no torch lights, there's no hearth light. There doesn't appear to be any movement whatsoever coming from the tower, but you're not in the tower yet. This is on your approach up. What do you do?
This is passing strange.
Do you think they're still alive?
I would hope so. Still,
It's unlikely.
I turn to the recruit. I don't say anything to her, but I give off the energy of, that is not quite your place to wish such a
cower.
thing. I simply say, let's not put such things into existence before they happen.
I just want to clarify. I don't think we've been working together for 3-4 months now. How long has it been since Cirrus has been here?
3 months.
3 months.
I think things have gotten better between us because I no longer acknowledge her presence unless I'm ordered to. She may prefer that, but I ignore almost everything she says.
It is unlike Sergeant Thalen to keep guests waiting. I still have
Should
my
I go
hand
in
up.
first?
I put my hand up to silence him. And I say, listen. At this point, I would like to be very attentive, to listen out to see if there's any rustling, any movement, any motion. To see if we feel anything off. Is anybody watching us?
Yeah, Okay, give me a perception check, and I'm going to double it with an insight check.
Very well.
I'm going to fuse
21
some
for
checks.
perception.
21 on perception.
18 for insight.
Let me roll a dice as well here. Okay. Something's definitely off. There's absolutely no way it is completely against protocol to leave a tower completely unattended. The only time you would ever do that is if you were under attack or it was being burned down, destroyed in some way, or you had to literally, for whatever reason, rally your squad outside to encounter and battle outside. You, again, don't really see any signs of battle out the front of this tower or in the immediate area. You'd expect there to be something if there was some sort of battle that took place, or they'd rallied the group out. There is no sound. There is no sound from coming from the tower. There are no sounds from the stable behind the tower, and there doesn't appear to be really any sound coming from within this tower. It is quite literally eerily quiet to you, sort of maybe a little too quiet to say something so tropey, a little too sort of still.
I reply, no. Stay close. We go in together. Keep an eye open for traps. Anything that moves. You stay close to me, I say to Cirrus.
Yes, sir.
After he says keep an eye out for traps, I would immediately look for traps.
Okay, give me an investigation check. And you're approaching the tower?
We are together, yes?
We are all going together, yes.
A 10.
A 10. It's enough. There are no traps here. I think Felcor, let's say that maybe you're at the head of the pack as you're kind of moving. I know that you're going to be sort of moving up as a 3, but, well, actually, I'd imagine you all witness all of these things together. There's no traps. There's no, sort of, again, no signs of battle or anything bizarre. Until you get to the main door, as you round part of the tower and find the main door, which is not too dissimilar to the one that you have, a sort of giant ironwood thing, which can withstand a pretty decent amount of damage. You get close to it and you can see that it is open. It's also kind of hanging a little awkwardly. It is, you get the sense that this has been forced open, signs of a struggle with the doorway itself. It's open and it's still intact, but the fact that this huge sort of very strong and well-built door is partly broken immediately suggests to you that it's been forced open.
Right. As we usually enter buildings, I would send my image of myself in first. He's a grey, translucent version of myself, and he shoots into the room first, in a way that would grab the attention of anyone who might be in there. While he is doing that, I look inside to see what I see.
The echo you have, what does it sense? Can it see as well, or is it just a canary right now?
I do not have that kind of control. I cannot see what it sees.
Okay.
I
You're just
can
seeing if it
only-
aggroes something.
Yes, other things can see it and attack it if they wish.
Yeah. Yeah. So the translucent version of yourself sort of shoots forward and in through the open doorway, and at the same time you move to a close window, yeah, and look in.
I think I would look in the front door. I would
You're
look in
looking
the
in the
door that
door.
it went in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You send this thing in. Nothing immediately happens. Nothing aggroes to it. Nothing. No trap springs close or a thing swings down or anything like that. At that point, you peer in and see if you can make anything out. The ground floor here. Again, this tower is much like your tower, although it has 4 floors, and this might be where we get confused with Americans here, but ground floor, second floor, third floor, fourth being the roof, which is a roofed thing that you can see out. So it has a floor which is kind of open with a roof over the top of it. The ground floor here is sort of a chaos. There are tables overturned, there are scorch marks, there are signs of a sort of hurried battle. There is blood. There's a lot of blood strewn about in varying different forms. There are pools that have pulled up. There are sort of jets of blood that have just been sort of thrown up the walls. It's quite a lot. You also witness a sort of an upturned table, and on that table, or sort of impaled on one of the broken table legs, is a soldier, a valiant, in the same uniform as yours. This one maybe is about the same age as you, Felkor. You get the sense that sort of a major fight took place here. But whatever happened to this valiant caused a lot of, but not all of this blood. His body is torn, ripped, and also impaled on this thing. The sort of scene of gore that you walk into or peer into is pretty distinctive. It's a brutal killing of this valiant, and there's just an enormous amount of blood in this room. But there are some other things in here, but you get the gist. And nothing attacks you, nothing suddenly comes at you or anything like that. And I think as you step in, or you peer in and step in, I think maybe the other two behind you are quite close, right? The plan is that you move pretty solidly as a group.
Yes.
You move into this room and you all witness this scene in front of you. First of all, how does everybody react, and how does everybody actually feel, I suppose? We'll start with Felkor, since he's the first through the door.
Falcor walks in with both blades drawn. He sees the gore, but ignores it, ensures the room is safe, and then watches the staircase leading up while the other two enter.
I would step in next. I would see the gore and utter unbidden great phoenix. I would then try and identify the fallen elf. Who is it? Valiantan? Darius?
Do you know them? You've met with them all. I don't see why you wouldn't have done, but
Yes, of course. I've been at this job long enough. We have met.
yeah, this is Zaire.
I think I would immediately try and ascertain what happened. What did this?
Yeah.
They were butchered like a creature killed them, yet at the same time no creature would also then go so far as to impale them. Not like this, not this cruelly.
Sirius, you step in. And what goes through Cirrus's mind, and what does Cirrus do? I don't know if Cirrus has seen anything like this before. I don't think probably any of you really
No.
have when it comes to your fellow militiamen, but Cirrus is a little younger than everybody else here.
Yeah. I think I'm take a step in and I freeze, and I'm looking around, and my eyes are kind of wild, and I don't really know where to begin. I'm sort of overwhelmed. I don't know, like, I don't know the order of things, what I should be doing suddenly. There's just so much to take in, so many things. What does it all mean? So I'm frozen a bit.
Do I notice this?
Probably. I am very bad at concealing my feelings, my reactions to things.
Steady yourself, Half-Light. You will notice that I call you Half-Light, not life. Now is not the time to get emotions, to let them get the upper hand. Not now. Be strong. Use your head.
Yeah, yes, sir.
This fallen elf, do they have bite marks on them? How did they receive damage?
Okay, give me an investigation check, or you can probably justify a medicine check for this as well if you want.
Investigation or medicine? I think I will go for... Well, they're both the same for me, so... 17.
17. Yeah, you move closer to the body, and you see that this Valiant was slashed by presumably large claws. It's similar to the type of thing that you saw on the tree before, but this is obviously elven flesh that this has done this to. It's made a terrible mess of a huge amount of this elf's body, arms, legs, body. There are parts of the face where the flesh has been completely torn off. You can see the jaw and the bone and sinew and teeth underneath from this elf's wounds. But you do also make out bite wounds as well. You can see that the left hand of the elf has been completely removed. That doesn't look like a claw. That looks like something has bitten it off. No different than if you saw something like a dire wolf, a huge set of jaws that are very powerful. And you've maybe sort of seen something or learned about this in some way, these kinds of wounds. This elf does actually have several bite wounds on him as well. Parts of this room are scorched with what looks like it probably was some sort of flame, but the elf doesn't appear to have any burn wounds or any sort of scorch marks on what's left of his uniform.
Would I have known if Valianzire was a magic caster of any kind?
No, the three Valiants here are pretty much your basic militiamen. They are sword and board. Zaire specifically was more of a sort of a fencing style fighter. The other two elves, Darius and Tan, were particularly proficient with longbows. And Thalen's kind of an all-rounder. He's pretty good at a lot of things. He does have a couple of spells to him, but it would be more along the lines of Thalen's a bit more like a ranger class. Those kinds of spells, a few sort of druidic, almost borderline spells like they get, things like Good Berry and Hunter's Mark, that kind of thing.
So the scorch marks were not from self-defense on our side, is what I'm ascertaining.
Yeah, no, these were not mages. Very rarely do they actually post mages to these watchtowers, by the way. It's a little bit of a snub, and I think it's a little bit revealing. The Aedus mages, the high elves, there are some unbelievably powerful mages in this part of the world that belong to this kingdom, and they retain all of them for the standing army, for the people that move out in groups, if they don't become, like Ombu Black Ops types mages, Palatial Guard, Angel Guard, things like that. They usually wouldn't, for want of a better word, squander a mage on a watchtower. You guys are kind of here to die so that they know something has gone wrong, and then they'll send in a much larger group if this is an attack from, whether it be Dragonborn on this side or whatever from the other side.
We are the early warning.
A little bit. You're kind of the vanguard, but you're also kind of the canary down the mine shaft. So very rarely do you find particularly proficient mages and warcasters in the watchtowers. It's not unheard of though, and obviously pretty much everyone can cast a little bit of magic. It's just innate to the high elf way of life. So yeah, no, to answer your question, it's very, very unlikely that any of these guys were able to cast any sort of fire magic, fireball, firebolt, anything like that.
Very well. Well, for 34 not to have sent any form of warning, both short form or written, not to call in, this must have happened very fast. I look towards where Falcor is, towards the staircase. Are you up, or are you waiting for us?
I'm standing at the foot of the stair, and my image is a couple of steps ahead of me.
I nod at you.
Right, we move forward. Image first. I'm about 5 steps behind him.
Okay. Yeah, the blood trails lead up the stairs, which you'd be able to notice, Falcor. Again, a lot of blood. A lot more than maybe you would expect. Even with the significant wounds to Valiant Zaire, there's a lot of blood running up this staircase, and you steadily move up to the second floor. Give me a perception check.
7.
A 7. Yeah, you move into the second floor. The barracks, not too dissimilar to your own. Obviously, you guys can trance, but it's still nice to do that in a comfortable bed. Every now and then you will have a half elf among your ranks, which you guys have, but you'll have half elf, half human, or half orc or something like that. Pretty rare in Aedus. Generally looked down upon, but barracks are still provided. Falcor, you lead, and then the 2 others follow in. Not too dissimilar, the state of this room. Beds overturned, lockers broken into, personal items scattered, chaos about this room. There is, in this room, you find the next Valiant. There is a corpse on the floor. The corpse looks as though the Valiant was attempting to flee the room and was sort of maybe struck from behind, as they are sort of partially up the stairs that lead upwards to the 3rd floor. They're kind of like splayed across that area.
DM, I take it. Sorry, after you.
Nothing jumps out at you and eats you or attacks you or anything like that. I'll be sure to let you know if it does.
I do the exact same thing. I move to the next set of stairs and keep watch as the other 2 enter.
Okay.
I follow close. I turn to make sure that our recruit is also following me.
I am.
Yeah. At the beginning of this session, a bird flew in to deliver a message. Am I to assume that on the top floor of all these outposts we have a rookery with message birds?
Yeah.
I turn to Felkor. We must needs make sure that we're able to send a message from here, if possible.
Would I
After that,
take that as an order to go?
you take everything I say as an order.
Yeah, okay. I immediately run up the stairs, my image first. I'm
Okay.
going directly to the rookery. Or going to look for it.
And you two are staying on the second floor?
I would follow Felkor to the edge of the stairs, not go up them, but I would sort of take where his place was before he left and look back at Varian.
You see Baryon looking upon this dead elf. I take it is yet another Valiant, yes.
Yes. This is Valiant Tan.
I was still young. I have a hard time piecing together what this was. What did this? It moved around and destroyed these people, butchered them like a wild animal. Yet look at this. I point to the lockers, the documents. Both wild, yet clearly there is motive. There is thought, intelligence behind this. I think you catch my eye dart to one of Sirius's horns before looking away. Perhaps you caught it, perhaps you didn't.
I caught it. I always catch it. Are you sure it's not just a wyvern? Like Winna?
I flinch when you say the name. I look at Sirius in the eyes. Saying that name is near taboo amongst the others. Sirius herself had never seen this person before. But all saying the name does just causes Baron to further furrow his brow, look around. I don't believe something like that could fit in a room like this. I looked at the door, to the door frame. Are there scratch marks? Did something force its way through, stretch it perhaps, burst through?
Give me an investigation check.
Investigation. A 10.
Pretty hard to tell with the sort of chaos in the room, but you get the sense that yes, they did. And in fact, give me another investigation check. I'll see if you
Very
can
well.
sort of springboard off of that one
A natural 1.
into another piece of information, which no, you can't. You get the idea that the door was sealed from this side, and that the thing broke through.
Let's press on. We can't
I
leave
would
Falcor
like
alone.
to.
Go on.
Sorry.
Of course.
I would like to do something strange. Can I smell the room and see if it smells familiar to me in
Yeah.
any way?
Give me a perception check.
6.
This room is an interesting one. I mean, it smells, you get the faint whiff of what every barracks probably smells like. Sort of that musky sleep smell.
Yeah.
Significantly, you get the scent of blood from this room. There are no scorch marks in this room. Downstairs, there was a faint smell of smoke or whatever you would call that, like a, you know, an ashtray, like a burned wood scent.
Yeah.
But this room smells. There's just this entire tower has a faint scent of that metallic scent of blood to it. Yeah, I don't think you pick up on anything significant
Okay.
with a 6.
We must press on.
You also get the scent of ink. You make me another perception check.
Okay.
Is she sniffing this time to perceive?
No, she's looking to perceive this time to see what.
I was going to ask if I could assist her to give her advantage.
I mean, you can do your own perception or investigation check of just things in the room if you'd like. Since you're in the
Okay.
room and looking around, you know.
It is rather hurried because we have split up now from Velcor with a 7. I'm not sure if I ascertain anything.
Yeah, I don't think you're looking at detail. You're looking at the bigger picture, the chaos, the fact that whatever did this came in, this sort of chaos downstairs. There was some sort of skirmish. It came upstairs. There was another skirmish in this room. This other Valiant was killed, presumably trying to go upstairs, and you see the blood trail head upstairs as well. We're just going to rewind time a little bit as we follow Felcor up the stairs with his whatever it's called, Echo, translucent mirror person.
Yes, Echo.
Moving ahead of him. You go up to the 3rd floor because to get to the roof you gotta go through the 3rd floor. You see another elf in here. You recognize from the sigil that this is the sergeant. But I assume you just push through this room. This is sort of a command center, and yeah, sort of just a general command center. This is the area that you would plan, and you'd have a similar looking room, a map across a large table and that kind of thing in here.
I would ensure that there are no threats on the floor. After I had done that, I would continue on as I was ordered.
Yeah, you can give me a perception check or an investigation check.
11.
Nothing jumps out at you. Nothing in here seems to be a threat. You know, the room isn't particularly large, so it's pretty easy to scan the room. You see the dead elf. He's for sure dead. You recognize the general chaos that continues through this room. There's blood running up one wall. And then there is this blood trail that continues upwards through the room. No threat.
Right. I continue on.
Yeah, you push out up onto the roof. The roof is mostly intact. Once you get up here, you actually see that the roof of this lookout point is a little different to the way that yours is built up. This roof has a ballista. They have a full-blown ballista sort of tucked away. It is the ballista is like partially built but not ready to fire. So they have a few more things along this roof. There are some barrels, there are some ammunition things, and there are some huge bolts that are tied to one side of the inner wall here. But the chaos doesn't quite continue. There is, however, still a lot of blood, and you find the final Valiant, another corpse. He seems like he was doing something as well, as they all do. However, you're looking for the rookery, which you find. A few sort of pigeonholes. For the most part, pigeons are used. Every now and then they do use other birds, because elves can somewhat commune with small beasts and things, so you will find that other elves will use whatever they want to use. Doves, owls, hawks, whatever comes in. But your basic sort of form of communication here is sending several pigeons with several messages and hope that one gets through. The rookery, destroyed. The pigeons, dead. Each and every one of them has been clearly sort of maliciously killed. And I forget what you came up here specifically to do, but that is the state that you find the rookery itself in.
I came up here to send a message. Or to secure them. Anyways, I think I would, before immediately running back and reporting this, I would take a look around using the tower's height to ensure we weren't being approached, or nothing was approaching us.
Okay, give me a perception check.
An 11.
Yeah, nothing here. Nothing approaching. You do the standard checks that I think you've probably gotten very used to doing, but this time you do it with significant purpose as you move from one corner to the other. Make sure you're looking, checking, sensing, hearing. This is a perception check. You've been trained to use all of your senses to try and discover anything discover anything weird going on. Looking about, you find no immediate thing that seems to jump out at you that potentially you are sort of about to come under attack, or if there's any creatures out there, or if there's something hidden in this room. You clear it.
Right. Then I would run back to the floor below.
Yeah, the floor below is a different one, and I think probably around this time the other two come up and meet you on the third floor. Cirrus and Baryon come up, and Falcor comes down. It's so hard to train my mouth out of calling you your other character.
Track.
Yeah.
The rookery is destroyed. All of the pigeons dead.
It is as I feared. I look around. Well, whomever did this, it was targeted. For one. It's hard to say who or what. We have a lot of competition. We are here for a reason, and this is it right here. DM, aside from the pigeons, is there some other way, some other form of communication? I know we had a flare before for signaling our leaving of our fort.
Yeah.
Is there something akin to a distress signal used in these towers?
There's a signal flare that you can launch from the roof, which is a magical arrow that is fired from the roof, and it not only does it launch particularly high, but it goes up and it lights a beacon in the sky, which then floats in whichever direction you fired it. So for example, you would fire, the protocol is to fire a signal flare up in the direction of this tower from your tower, and then 1 to 35. So 33 would fire at 34 and 32. This one would fire at 35 and 33. And then the signals would eventually float over to you, and you would see this floating light, it's almost a fairy fire arrow, or the dancing lights arrow. So you have these magical arrows. You have plenty of them in your tower. You would assume that they have plenty in this tower as well.
Aye. And the rest of the tower is clear. Aye.
clear
I said
of.
to Velcor.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah.
Yes, I've seen no other threats, and I don't see anything approaching either.
In which case, I walk past Velcor and go to the rookery myself to search for these flares.
Yeah. Yeah. You move up. You see the same thing. You find the final valiant Darius, and you recognize that in fact Darius was killed while trying to signal for help. He has the quiver of signaling arrows, more slashing wounds to this one, and some scorch marks. You can see that several of the signaling flares look as though they were probably partially ignited but never launched. So they just sort of did nothing and died out here.
I pick up his quiver, and I pick out several signal flares. I assume that, depending on the message, we would send differing amounts of arrow of different hues. And I pick the ones that are necessary for alerting the other towers that 34 has fallen.
Yep.
And fire them into the sky consecutively.
Yeah, I think you two below hear and see the as he fires several of these in different directions. And the arrow goes into the sky, ignites, and begins to float in the direction that you wish it to, which I assume would be north and south, based on the location of this tower.
I would like
Yeah.
to run up the stairs when he does this and say, "Sir, should we not be concerned about 33? Could this not be a trap?"
You are correct. With us gone, 33 is but a skeleton crew.
Yes.
Good thinking. We have sent out the relevant flares now. It is night time. Despite the carnage, it is auspicious for us to be here now, where the flares can be seen, bright in the sky. We must needs first of all clear this place out. Find out what killed these people. How? Why were they all in separate floors and not covering each other? This is passing strange even for an incursion. After that, we shall double time it back to 33. And, Phoenix willing, you are wrong.
Yes, sir.
There's a body on this floor, correct?
Yeah, there's a body on every floor.
Yes, we are currently by the body of, I believe, the sergeant. Why were they here by themselves?
Right, the third floor.
Correct.
You find Sergeant Thalin, not Thalin, the streamer, but Sergeant Thalin, who maybe looks like Thalin, but probably not. And this is the sort of the command center. The map lies across this, even though the command center is in chaos. There was clearly a battle in here. You get the sense that Thalin fought. His body is positioned defensively. You can see a deep claw mark across his chest. No scorch marks in this room. But who would like to make me an Arcana check if they're looking at Thalin's body? You might pick up something else. Again, this is Arcana, so whoever might have some skill with magic, or maybe you'll get lucky.
I, like all pure blood high elves, have some magical ability.
Okay.
I would like to assist and give them advantage.
Sure. You know what? Yeah. I'll allow it. Sometimes. The irony of the fact that eventually Cirrus
15.
will become one of the most powerful clerics in the entire world. The unfathomable levels of strength that the party are at in the present day part of the campaign. A 15. So, as you're looking over Thalen's body, the two of you work together to sort of determine what happened to Thalen. His body has additional puncture wounds. The thing that is odd about these puncture wounds is they don't really match any of the other wounds that you've seen on some of the well, I guess the only other body you've properly inspected at the bottom floor. But they don't match a puncture wound that might be fit with an arrow. If Thalen had taken several arrows to the chest, the arrows would probably still be in there. If they'd been torn out, they leave a particular kind of puncture wound. These are very clean puncture wounds, the type of thing that usually comes from be something like a flechette, those little tiny little blades that would be rounded in such a way that they would go in and come out very easily, not barbed. But you get more of a sense that this was done magically. This is magical in nature. It might be similar to something like like a magic missile that would strike someone, and then obviously the magic would dissipate, but the damage would still be there. Maybe somebody who casts something like ice knife, and then the ice explodes, right? And there's little shards of ice would strike someone. If someone had been struck with and stabbed with ice, they would have a puncture wound. The ice would melt. The puncture wound would remain in a certain way. That's what this looks like to you. Not necessarily saying it was ice or it was something like that kind of thing, but the fact that the puncture wounds are so clean suggests that they were punctured by some form of magic, and then the magic dissipated and left a very clean puncture wound in here. He has several of these across his body.
What do you see, Velko?
No, don't we see it together? I think we discovered it together, he said. I think we both know.
Yeah, I think so. To answer your question about the assist, I sort of just don't really even think about it until it comes up. But if it's something that you can justifiably do together, it makes sense to me, you know. If it's something that, like, say it was Thrak and it was an Arcana-based check, and he was with 3 other people who clearly had never used magic before, it doesn't make sense that they would be able to assist in any way. So as long as you can sort of justify assisting, then the two of you look over this together, I think, is what's happening. That's what that is. And the two of you come to this conclusion. I mean, you can we can imagine that you've had that conversation of everything I said as you're poring over it. You know, you're kind of doing your buddy cop moment.
Right. That's why I didn't assist when Cirrus was sniffing.
Yeah, that doesn't make as much sense to me.
I look over at him and... What are your orders, Captain?
None yet. We need to make sure we understand everything first. Why were they separate? What were they doing? Why did they fight alone?
I think the first one was caught by surprise.
May I speak plainly, sir?
You may.
I'm not sure it matters. I mean, I'm sure it matters in the long run, but right now, Wix is alone, and the border is compromised.
He scoffs and interrupts her. Matters if the captain says it matters.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, sir. I don't mean to be disrespectful. I'm just saying that at this point, both posts could be gone.
Do not apologize for the counsel that I asked for. You are correct. Time is of the essence. However, we have let go the signal flares. Wix is watching. You'll have seen it.
I apologize, sir, but that's if he's still alive. If anyone's there to see it.
And if he's already fallen, then what?
Then that's at least 2 outposts gone. It's many miles of free terrain.
And do we know who has done it? Do we know why? Do we know where they're going next? Do we know for whom they're working for? These are important.
Yes, but could we not just make an assumption that it's the kingdom?
Speak plainly.
It could be the Lernian kingdom. Small warband sent out to take down one tower, draw the other tower out to investigate, take the other tower. It could just be a well-planned offensive. And we're sitting gulls out here.
I again glance to the crimson-tipped points of her horns when she says the Lernian kingdom, and back to her again. And I say, and are you familiar with how the kingdom operates? How they send their warbands? If they send magic casters?
How familiar would I be? Because I've crossed the border. I've been there, but I don't, and I've heard stories from my father who was a warrior.
Yeah.
So I feel like I would know a considerable amount in terms of, yeah.
Yeah, I think your trip to the Lernian Kingdom taught you nothing other than that you almost died.
Yes.
And I think it's up to you whether your father told you this stuff. So you tell me whether he told you it, and I'll tell you how much you know.
Okay. I think he would have told me about, he would have regaled me with stories of battle that he had been in.
Mm-hmm.
He probably would have told me about the group that he was a part of, and he may have told me about the warriors with special abilities.
Yeah. So the more powerful you are, that can be physically, but it is also in reference to the fact that the Dragonborn kingdom that borders this one, the angel here provides these sort of borderline superpowers to the Dragonborn. The downside to it is that the Dragonborn here are often born with sort of perceived physical abnormalities or impairments. You know, it could range in all sorts of different ways. But some Dragonborn come out of this and they're practically like Superman. You know, they're unbelievably strong, or they've got like something like laser vision, or they can fly. A lot of them come out with significant magical prowess. A lot of them come out with psionic abilities. The stronger you are, the more likely you are to be given a group, and just you're free to do what you want with it to a degree. Very rarely do the Dragonborn venture out from their area, their kingdom. There's a sort of rocky wasteland. At the southernmost tip of that kingdom, there's a big volcano. A little further north of that is where they sort of have their own sort of city. It isn't anything like what you might find in Aedus with these beautiful structures that are built. The Lernian kingdom is a complete wasteland for the most part, and they live in these kind of it's sort of like, it's almost like poverty is what it would look like to us, but they choose to live that way, and it's just because of the chaos. There is so much chaos here. It is almost like a Dragonborn Mad Max kingdom. Obviously they don't have cars and things like that driving around, but the mentality behind that kind of approach, there are these just pockets of towns and people and groups, cults and stuff that all kind of operate independently. They don't really have like a king or a queen or anything, but they do have warlords and chieftains that are really strong. Some of them are really, really strong, and they have a huge amount of influence, so they kind of have their sort of a king. So it really depends on somewhat where your father came from, how strong he was, and which one of these groups he might have belonged to. Generally speaking, however, one thing is it just permeates through the entire Dragonborn culture. They don't care about expanding their borders. They're unbelievably protective of them. No one really makes it too far into the Lernian Kingdom before they're either killed or, enslaved or something. They do not like outsiders. They will not accept them. They kill them. They eat them. It's any number of awful things. But they really don't go much further. The top of the Lernian Kingdom, there's a huge river, and they don't go over it. On this side of things, the only real land border that isn't part of that river is this forest with Aedus. Aedus has pushed its border into the Lernian Kingdom. Aedus is kind of the invader, but this was like 1,000 years ago, the last time they even expanded even slightly. It's really rare that a group would potentially do this, but it isn't unheard of. It is chaos. So, in that chaos, there's really no pattern. So and I think maybe this is what your father would have told you, in that, he, I think, would have been, and this, not everyone in this kingdom is completely insane. Not everyone in this kingdom is like that. A lot of these warlords are probably know what's going on, and they're controlling just a group of insane Dragonborn. And within that, you've got your people. There's Max is in there, so that's probably your dad, and you got out.
Yeah.
So there are plenty that escape. There are plenty that go out. They go to find other places to live in the world, and there are plenty of Dragonborn out there. There's another Dragonborn kingdom. There are only 2 Dragonborn kingdoms in this world. There's pretty much a good one and a bad one, because these guys are insane because of their angel. The angel is not too dissimilar to the boar, the big boar, that kind of has a bit of an influence on the alignment of the people here. It kind of makes them more crazy. So the further away from it you get, some of that craziness is reduced. It is nowhere near as intense as Big Boar, but there is some of that to it. So people try and escape all the time, and little groups will try and escape because they see their group as a family, so they'll have their group rush into the forest. Aedus will sometimes see that as an invasion and kill them all. Sometimes they actually make it. Alternatively, there are groups of chaotic Dragonborn that just want to kill everyone and just want to expand and want to go and do this thing. So they will rush into the borderlands of Aedus and Lernian Kingdom, and then they'll get into a skirmish with the elves as well. So, very long-winded answer to give you some, some context, but generally speaking, there is no real pattern. There is no where the Aedus Kingdom has these nice watchtowers that are all numbered, and they have their routines and they have their structure to their military and stuff. Lernian Kingdom just kind of has crazy people everywhere and groups of insane, mad Dragonborn with superpowers. Some of them are really strong, and some of them are not. Some of them just, have slightly longer claws or something. You'll have these Dragonborn that come flying out there with huge wings and 6 arms and stuff.
Some of them are the venom of their people.
Some of them. So there really isn't an answer that you would come up with here. But it certainly isn't out of the realm of possibility that one of the stronger warlords, one of the stronger chieftains, could come up with a plan like what you're suggesting, that they distract and take down 1 or 2 of the towers, and it gives them an opening, and they're allowed to move in. This also, Baron, is, I think, something you're very aware of as well. I think this is one of the biggest fears of the Aedus kingdom, is that, you know, that's what these watchtowers are for. The key is to make sure they never get close to the main kingdom. The biggest fear I think that you would be aware of at your level is that they somehow unleash their angel, which is a hydra, and then that thing just comes through. Because there is a hydra that is trying to break out. It isn't actually localized like all the other angels. Not all of them, but 90% of the angels in this world are just a thing in one place. This hydra could roam if it wanted. They keep it there. So Aedus is petrified of that being a thing that they can control. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
That's what you know.
Yeah.
Just to inform you and give you the context.
I believe I would take one long sigh. Looked at the carnage around me again, my fallen brothers and sisters. Looked back upon Cirrus. And say you are right. We are very long-lived. We tend to belabor activities sometimes. But to be expeditious right now would be the best course of action.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Who wants to give me a perception check?
Not me.
Then I shall.
I think. Oh,
Baron, just as you say that, being expeditious, your ears attune to a sound that you realize has been kind of going for a little while, but has just been caught in amongst all of everything else. There has been a repetitive sort of nowhere near that quick, just every now and then coming from the floor above you, the lookout point, the quote-unquote roof.
Are you sure you cleared everything, Velcor?
It's very quiet.
I didn't notice anything. Why?
Listen.
Do I hear?
Tilt my head towards the sound.
I look at Captain.
I nod back.
I send my echo up the stairs and follow stealthily behind it.
I motion to Cirrus to be slow.
Everyone give me stealth checks.
Oh.
You can also do whatever you were going to do.
Oh, I was just gonna say I put my hand on the on my sword and I look at him and wait for the motion to draw my sword. Okay.
Another double 20.
Another double 20.
What is happening today?
Second time today you've rolled 2 20s in one roll.
Yeah. I feel like it should be
Okay.
rewarded, but I don't know how to reward you. Because other than the three of you sneak upstairs successfully, which you kind of do anyway, the three of you move up the stairway, the echo going first, and then the other 2, 3, I don't know if the echo counts as you or not, move upwards and onto the top floor. The three of you moving into this, now upstairs, this is this is sort of an open thing with a roof above it. So you catch that kind of autumnal wind from the forest outside, and you focus again, looking or hearing that tap sound. The body of Darius in the sort of center back part of this tower is covered and surrounded by blood. The wounds on this individual from the slashing after it sort of seems like he was rushing to try and get to the edge of the lookout to fire these signals. You can see there's blood that runs up this wall and over the edge of the wall. It is then that you realize that some of that blood that is sort of just all in one big mess around this body, a pool of it on the outer wall is actually pooling from blood dripping from the roof. As in the roof above you, dropping down.
I look to the captain.
I look back.
Waiting for the nod for me to move onto the roof. Look like I'm ready to climb up.
Our eyes meet for half a second. I nod.
The echo goes first, and I try to stealthily climb the roof.
Okay. Yeah, I guess you need to make me an acrobatics check and a stealth check. I'm going to roll a dice of my own.
13 for acrobatics and a 20 for stealth.
Yeah, it's pretty dexterous. It's not the perfect, leap, turn, pivot, and maybe another little sort of jump up and silently jump up onto the roof of this thing. The tiles on the roof are old and covered in moss and things, and as you sort of jump up onto it, they make just a little creaking noise as you get up there. The echo is already up here. It hasn't aggroed anything at all. There is nothing up here. The roof just is a roof. There are tiles covered in moss and algae. That's it.
Where is the blood?
Give me a perception check.
A 3.
The area where the blood is dripping down from, it's confusing. The blood just appears to be dripping from the edge of the roof, as if the roof itself is bleeding from a tiny wound. Some blood is just dropping from the edge of the roof.
Is there like a small piece of, is there like a stone or something laying on the roof I can throw?
Yeah, for sure. A bit of tile or something, yeah.
I suspect something magical or illusion based is making it hard for me to find out what's happening, so I throw a stone in the general direction of where the blood is dripping.
Okay. Roll me a d20.
An 8.
Stone. You sort of toss it towards the edge of the roof, where the blood is.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I think I'm going to do this strategically. So I think there might be something there I can't see.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to hit whatever it is where blood is dripping from it. But if I miss, I want it to possibly distract this creature and the stone to hit like a tree or something. If I can.
It hits thin air, stops, bounces, rolls off the edge of the roof. You hit something, but there's nothing where it is. Whatever it hit is invisible.
Right. I crouch down and I make a hand signal. The captain.
I creep up
One
behind.
hostile, unseen.
I nod.
There is a low guttural growl that comes from the area where this stone hit.
I think you.
You would all hear it.
Does it sound familiar? Do I recognize that type of growl? Do I recognize that sound?
Give me an insight check.
It's your dad.
13.
It kind of sounds dragonborn-y. It does sound like a dragon or a large reptile or something like that.
Okay.
But it's so much bigger than it. It's deeper. You get that sense that whatever this is, this animal is large.
Okay.
It's too deep. The thing that's done this is too big. It could be a small dragon, could be a drake, could be the wyvern, could be something like that. But I don't think you get an exact sort of idea.
Okay. I motion towards Baryon, and I make a motion like big.
Okay. So, we stepped out onto the roof. Is there a door by us?
The roof, I think, probably has a hatch, right?
Mhm.
And I think that has been broken off of its hinges.
Ah,
The doors have all been broken.
every single consecutive door has been broken to this point.
Yeah.
I motion for Felcor to get behind me.
I'm on top of the roof.
He's
and
on
you're
top of the roof. You're on
the level below. I kneeled down and showed you my hand to give you a signal.
Yeah, he's
Right.
above you on the tiles of the roof. You're just on the top floor, the sort of lookout, right?
Right. Get down. Slowly.
Yeah. I immediately, I leave my image up and immediately try to climb down quietly.
Yeah, give
don't
me
wanna-
another acrobatics and another stealth. I'm gonna roll
I
my
do a
own
triple
dice.
backflip.
I can roll here now.
Oh, stealth 7, but acrobatics was 22.
Okay. It's not quiet. It's not stealthy. You jump off the roof. There's that typical sound of like ceramic tiles, right, being trodden on. But the acrobatic maneuver to get you back into the underside of the roof is very Legolas jumping up those rocks in that movie, the falling bridge bit. You hear the scurrying of something, the heavy thing on the roof moving across the tiles almost as soon as Felcor is out of sight. You get the sense this thing moves from one side of the roof to the other.
Whatever did this is still here. Whatever destroyed our brothers and sisters. Captain Thalia. This is not to be trifled with. Slowly. Get behind me. Make for the horses. I'll be right behind you.
I go to say something to argue with him, but then I stop myself and I get behind him.
I think you would have noticed my eyes flash white as you
I'm
open your
already
mouth.
going down the stairs. I follow his orders immediately.
Now is not the time. I point up again. And I follow behind them as well, but they are behind me.
You are going quickly or stealthily. I know ideally both, but what would you favor?
I
Speed or
personally
stealth?
would favor being fast.
Okay. Let's get just a dexterity roll from everyone.
A straight dexterity.
Just a straight dex roll. It's not really a skill, is it? It's just how fast can you move. A 6, a 14, and an
One
8.
thing I'm good at,
Yeah.
and I do terribly.
I think it's awkward. It's awkward getting through this place because there's so much chaos, right? There's overturned tables, there's stuff strewn about, there are corpses that you have to step over as you move down from the 3rd to the 2nd floor. From the 2nd to the ground floor, you have to kind of move around the absolute chaos of the tables that have been overturned on the bottom floor with the corpse of Valiant Zaire. You make it to the doorway in front of you, and what do you do as you're at the bottom floor here? You're going straight out.
Once we get to the door, I don't let Falcor take the door. I go first. Things have changed.
You how do you get through this door? What's the approach to this doorway, just to give you the opportunity to be as paranoid as you want?
I place my hand just above where the handle would be and push ever so slightly. Maybe a bit more towards the hinge so it moves slower.
Yeah, this door's kind of broken as well. Remember, it's a big sort of ironwood thing, and it's an awkward push. You know, the closer you are to the hinge, the harder it is to push such a heavy door.
Right.
Give me an athletics check.
Athletics. The one thing I'm good at. I rolled a 9 with +6.
Yeah, I mean, if you weren't good at this, you wouldn't have even moved it, is the thing here. But it does open, but it creaks pretty loudly. I think there's no avoiding the fact that this door was going to make a lot of noise to open a little bit. There's a kind of a... As the old wood kind of turns, there is some splintering as it kind of scrapes. As you're pushing it, it stops, as if it stops on something on the other side.
I don't push any further. I listen.
Yeah, give me a perception check.
20.
Yeah, you all hear this. On the other side of the door, you hear...
Drakkar, not want death.
Be you friend, or be you foe?
Drakkar, neither.
I turn back to my compatriots. Drakkar. Is Drakkar ring any bells?
You know what? I will let Cirrus roll me a d20. If you get a 20, you would know something about Drakkar.
He's rolled so many
An
20s
8.
already.
Yeah, this is the one time to do it. An 8. No way anyone's heard of Drakkar.
I
Did you
shake
do
my head.
this, Drakkar?
Drakkar, kill. Elf, try kill Drakkar. Drakkar win.
Why? Why did they try and kill you? Why did you approach the tower?
Drakkar, make mistake in Drakkar life. Drakkar want Phoenix flame. You bring Phoenix to Drakkar.
I'm afraid afraid. We cannot do that.
You will bring Phoenix to Drakkar.
I pause. Very well. We will bring the Phoenix to Drakkar.
Yes. Good. How? When?
Soon.
When?
Soon.
Drakkar have no more time. Drakkar need Phoenix. Drakkar must go back.
What do you need the Phoenix Flame for?
Drakkar must go back to when Drakkar were born.
And where is that, Drakkar?
Drakkar make too many mistakes in Drakkar's life. I must go back
Well,
to when I were born.
well, Drakkar. You will be making one more mistake if you do not let us go.
You bring Drakkar Phoenix, Drakkar reborn. It's true what the other elves say.
What do you know of the Phoenix?
Phoenix allow you to be reborn. Drakkar want this. Drakkar wish to be reborn.
DM,
Yes.
the Phoenix and the Phoenix Flame. Is this a gift bestowed upon the elves of our country as just, is it freely available? Or is he asking for the impossible?
Generally speaking, it's believed. Somewhat proven. You have to be sort of born within the proximity of the Phoenix Flame. But it's rare that someone comes back to life, though it does happen. Every now and then, someone will die from whatever it is they die from. It could be anything. Disease, it could be old age, it could be an arrow to the heart. And then they come back immediately. The disease they have is gone. They get another 10 years if they're dying of old age. Their heart heals itself and they are alive again. It's for sure the additional benefit, or one of the additional benefits of the angel here, as well as obviously regrowing everything around it. It's generally understood that this just means you have to be born here. So some people who are not elven have been born in Aedus, and this has happened. Again, you're reducing the rarity. This is just stories and myth at this point, but it is something that is logged and written and understood to a degree. It's pretty common knowledge, so I think you'd all know about it. But it's just it's a pure RNG thing. There's almost no way you definitely couldn't bestow this upon him. If anyone could, maybe the sort of high clerics of the Phoenix Flame that are in the temple that is all the way back in the capital city of Aedus, which is also called Aedus. But there's, whatever he's asking for here is certainly not something that you can do.
What you ask of me is heavy, Drakkar. Especially after what you have done here. Yea, you have made many mistakes in your life. Let us go. Be on your way. And make not another mistake this day.
Felkor and Cirrus, give me perception checks. Blood is pooling under the doorway. You can see that it's kind of partially, it's like invisible, and then it sort of fades out, you know, it kind of stops being invisible as it pulls and moves from under the doorway. This person or thing on the other side of the door is bleeding so much now that they've moved and they're standing on the other side of this door. Drakkar says,
"You. No leave. One. Leave. Return
I cannot.
with flame."
I look back. My compatriots. I lift a hand up, and then put 2 fingers out. Swish my hand back twice. This is a motion they both know. To stay clear of me. About 10 feet.
I watch Felkor for a moment after I see that to see what Felkor does.
Can I see beyond the door? Is the door open?
No.
the door's like slightly ajar, but not much.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
you pushed it open a little bit, but not much, because it just immediately butted up against someone.
Let's see. Is there any windows?
Yeah, there are windows.
I would move over to one of the windows, and I would, when I jumped off the roof and lost sight of my echo, it would have dissipated. I would summon another one outside. Is there bushes within 30 feet of the door?
Definitely.
And it would be summoned in the bushes.
Okay, let me roll a little dice. Oh. Okay, yeah. That happens. No, there's no response from Drakkar on the other side of the door when you do
Are
this.
both of you clear of me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Then, reminiscent of a New Zealand haka, I raise my right leg up in the air and slam downwards on the ground. The ground shakes, and the earth tremors. As I try and cast Earth Tremor.
Okay. Earth Tremor.
I cause a tremor on the ground in a 10-foot radius. Each creature, other than myself in that area, must make a dexterity saving throw, and then on a failed save, that creature takes 1d6 bludgeoning damage and is knocked prone.
Cool. Let's go. Let me roll some checks for Drakkar here. So it is a dexterity saving throw.
Correct.
A 21.
Saves.
The door
Oh,
doesn't. If you want to do something with the door.
I kick through the door afterwards. I'm pressing the attack for 34!
Okay. Does anything happen on a failed save here?
They take no damage, but the ground If the ground is earth or stone, becomes difficult terrain until cleared.
Okay. The door blows open. You kick the door through. You hear on the other side of it,
No, fine. I will kill you and find another elf to bring me the flame.
you
So be it.
kick the door open. However, on the other side, there's nothing. There is a pool of blood that kind of dissipates and vanishes. Roll me some initiatives, please.
— 16.
10. Oh, do we need to select our token? Yes.
Yeah, it's my bad. I did not click this first because I have found weird things going on.
Oh my god, I got a 20 again.
I shall just make that a 16 again.
I'd like to thank you for letting us roll those initiatives again.
Yeah.
You got to take the first one.
Oh.
What did you think was
Aw.
happening here?
I was just
But I
following
got
suit. They
another
did it
20.
first.
I didn't do it. I did one roll.
All right.
No, you didn't. There's clearly 2 rolls there.
But I took the lower one, didn't I? But the first one. I had to roll again to get my token up.
All right. Battle map here is obviously just kind of an idea of the surroundings. There's actually lots of blood and chaos in this room next to you and a corpse, but this is as close as I can get it to. Now, this motherfucker, you don't know where he is, so he's vanishing. First person to take their turn is Baron. I'm going to give you that entire Earth Tremor thing just as a free action. You can have a whole action.
Okay. I run to where I think he is and stop. And then I am
Okay.
going to just swing.
Give me an attack roll.
Okay. A 16. And a 12. I'm going for disadvantage.
It's a 12 or 16.
If they're invisible and it's just disadvantage, then it's a 12. Otherwise, it's 16.
All right. 12 it is. Why not? Yeah, complete miss. You just catch air where you suspect him to be.
Okay. In that case, I now take a step back in the doorway and protect mine.
Okay. Young Cirrus.
Yeah. I am going to rush forward as well. To right next to Baryon. And try to slash again in front. In a big sweep.
Okay.
See if I can catch it as well. And that's going to be 22 or 10 for disadvantage.
22, 10 with disadvantage is a miss as well. Catching air
Dang.
as you launch forward.
I say, get behind me!
That was my whole movement to get here, so I cannot get behind him at the moment.
All right, disobeying a direct order. No, you are moving backwards, but it's on the next 6 seconds.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, okay.
Felcor.
I did say I was by a window. Is it alright if I start my turn over here?
Absolutely, yeah. I just,
Okay.
you guys can be anywhere you want, but it's too late now for the other two.
Well, I'm just really smart.
Yep,
Um,
min-maxing.
I will run out the front door, and I will also take a swing. And as I do, my image comes next to me. So I swing with my short sword. For a 19, and that's a disadvantage, right? And a 10.
10 is a miss.
And then I go again with my offhand weapon as I'm dual wielding these. And I get an 18 and a 26.
The 18 will hit something.
Okay. Now for 6 piercing damage.
Okay. Let's make a concentration check. I think he's still invisible. Yeah. I mean, the echo clearly catches something. The sword bites into something.
Oh, it's me. I'm
It's
just
you?
attacking with
Oh,
both
the
weapons.
offhand? Okay,
I'm
yeah.
dual wield.
I have no idea what you're doing, but yeah, sure.
I'm Legolas, as said before. So
Okay. Yeah, you catch something. But
Right.
yeah, I mean, it's bizarre,
I have no
right? Because you
idea
just
what it
hit
is.
an invisible thing, but you've definitely you sense that your sword strikes this creature.
okay. That is the end of my turn.
Okay. There's a shuffling in front of where you guys are. You guys go rushing forward. There is just a bunch of swinging and missing, and then you sense that Felcor catches something, and then in front of you, just manifesting, is heat. Actually, I don't think you even see it. You just get a sense of heat building in front of you. Everyone, make me a dexterity saving throw.
Ooh. Eight.
On a 13.
19.
Okay, so young Cirrus, you will only take half of this 21 damage. There is a building heat, and then suddenly, kind of before you're even aware of it, the invisibility over the flame drops, and there is just fire. A wall of fire hits all of you and deals 21 damage to Felcor, 21 damage to Baron, and then 10 damage to young Cirrus.
I also have resistance to fire because
so it's
of
half.
my dragon type.
Half again, so
Okay.
5.
5.
The flame came from this direction. Do you see that?
No.
This direction?
Yes.
Did it hit the echo?
Yes.
The echo puffs away.
All right. And then it is Baron's turn.
I immediately press on towards the source of the flame, and I swing out again with my sword. A 13 to hit.
13 is a miss.
Okay, I have an extra attack. I realize I'll try again. Natural 1.
You know what to do. Roll me a d20.
1.
Oh no.
I think that means you roll another 2d20s, and we take... Oh, no. Your weapon falls from your grasp and lands 10 feet away. You know what happens? You're so not expecting it to hit something, and it does. It just doesn't hurt this creature. You strike something in an awkward way, and you then feel the blade kind of wrenched from your grasp as if something bats it away, or just an incredibly strong thing twists your wrist backwards. You maybe for the first time get the sense of the size and strength of this thing as it does that. Whatever this thing is in front of you is really big and really strong. Okay. So you just drop your sword. Yeah.
Alright. And where is my sword now? 10 feet away.
10 feet away, we can say it's 10 feet to the south of you.
Very well. That is my turn.
Okay, young Cirrus.
Yeah. I saw his sword hit something. So I'm going to run up and try and hit the same thing again.
What I should have said was my sword, but no, never mind.
An 11 is a miss.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I guess. Oh wait, no, I can take another. I can take another action, right?
I don't know.
Because I
can you?
have
What level are you?
second. Oh no. Sorry, one moment.
Level 3 is extra attack.
Right. Okay. Nope. Never mind. I cannot.
Cirrus
I don't know
is,
what I'm talking
baby.
about.
You're looking at second wind, which gives you a little.
Yes.
You can use a bonus action to. It's the thing Neo does where he goes like that and then just gets
Yeah.
stronger.
Okay. Cool. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I can walk on water. Anyway, that's
Yeah.
it. Thank you.
All right, Falcor, your turn.
Yes, I am going to move over here. And I will use second wind to attempt to regain some of my health.
He does it.
So it's 1d10 plus my fighter level. So, ooh, nice. I got a 9 on the roll. My fighter level is 3, so that's 12 hit points. And that is unfortunately my turn.
This black square represents magical darkness that suddenly appeared. The area around you, it's like ink spreads through the air, as if ink in water is just moving until eventually the two of you are in complete magical darkness. Now I'm putting it here. Falcor, for you, you just see, and now this is a sphere in this area, as darkness suddenly surrounds you. In this darkness, you hear the crunching of leaves underneath as you sense this creature moving around within this darkness. Not only is he invisible, but he is in the darkness as well. Moving around, he's moved about a little bit. What does Baron do?
I instinctively run towards where my sword fell out of from the natural one, because that's more important right now, and run south.
You can recollect it on your movement. It's sort of a free action thing.
Okay, then I go back into the darkness, because that's where Cirrus is still. And I shall, I guess, move deeper into it, and yet again, try and swing at this creature.
Okay.
I couldn't see it to begin with. A 14 to hit.
Nothing. Catching air.
Again, a 12.
Catching air. Just swinging
my turn.
wildly in this darkness. Roll low enough and you will 100% strike Cirrus.
That's my turn.
Okay, Cirrus.
Yeah. I
I say leave the darkness.
Okay, I'm going to listen to that direct order, but before I do, I'm going to reach out and grab his arm and cast guidance on him. And then I'm going to try and escape the darkness towards where I last saw Falcor.
Okay.
Yeah.
That it? For your turn? Yes, okay.
Yep. Sorry. I saw Falcor go up in the list and I was like, oh, okay, it's already done.
Falcor, your turn.
Yes, as a bonus action, I will resummon my Echo. And my Echo. Move here, and I will move. I'll move here. Can't really do anything else. I have no idea where this thing is. So
You can ready actions. Remember, you can always do something like that.
right. Can I try and hide
You can, yeah.
as an action?
An action.
Okay. I will attempt to stealth.
Okay, roll me a stealth check.
Wow, an 8.
Okay.
Excellent
You're
job.
hidden with a skill of 8. That's the DC for this thing to see you if it wants to.
Okay. Excellent.
From the darkness here, yeah, I think again you hear the sounds of grass underfoot and leaves and stuff crunching as this thing is moving around you, Baron, but it's hard to get your bearings as this thing makes a few attacks here. Now, let's see. A bite, a 13 versus your AC.
Misses.
Some claws, an 11 versus your AC is also going to be a
Misses.
miss. And then a shadow spike, a 20.
It's
5 piercing damage. Why is it giving me 2 of them? Oh no, it is correct. Is it supposed to be correct? Oh no, this is okay. It's 5 piercing and 4 necrotic damage you take there.
okay.
This is, you're struck by a magical spike that goes into your body and immediately dissipates. You recognize this to be the same thing that happened to the sergeant upstairs. And then there's a bunch of noise as it moves around you, and it's your turn.
I move away from it
Okay.
and stand by Cirrus. That's my action.
What do we do?
Stay put. Be on your guard. When you see it, strike true.
All right.
If anything happens to us, run.
Okay.
Okay, your turn, Cirrus.
I am going to ready an action. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna hunker down and prepare to be attacked.
Okay, so when you're ready in action, you just tell me what your action is and on what the trigger would be. So, for example,
Okay.
if I see him, I fire an arrow. You know.
Yeah, if I see him getting close to Baryon, or I lunge with my sword. I slash with my sword.
Okay, Falcor.
I will, I suppose I don't realise how terribly I've hidden here, so I will just continue to hide. I'll move my, echo a little bit further, and I'll prepare an attack action with my short sword.
Okay. The echo gets swiped at for 15 to hit.
That hits.
14 slashing
Yes.
damage to the echo.
Yeah, there's 1 hit point. It's gone.
Okay. There is a crunch of a branch behind you, Velcor. I think you just instinctively duck, and there is a something is clearly behind you and trying to attack you, and you
Okay.
roll out of the way by pure chance and just instinct. Right?
Can I use that held action to attack it?
Yeah. You still have disadvantage because you can't see him, but yeah.
Right. But I do. When I hold an action like that, do I get to use? It's just an action, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
Like a reaction.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's your reaction to
Gotcha.
use it, and an action, it's just the action, whatever it is.
19.
And 19 will hit it.
5 piercing.
5 piercing. Let's make a con save. 23 on the con save. He's still invisible, but you do
That's
damage.
awful.
There is a kind of a as you strike this thing. It's fucking,
Over here.
it's whatever it is enormous and in front of you, but invisible. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
just you get the sense of it, the heat of it. You can sense the creature. Baron, it's your turn.
I run past Cirrus to the sound of Velcor and swing at it, or in its location, with my sword again. Phoenix, help me! 21 to hit.
That hits.
That's 11 points of slashing damage.
Okay.
I am
Make
then
a
going to
con save
use...
just to see if it drops. No, carry on.
Okay. I am then going to use a superiority die in order to try and trip attack it. So with this now, they must succeed a strength saving throw or fall prone on the floor.
Okay. Strength save. Wow, natural 1. Not only does it fall, I think it breaks the invisibility.
They also take 2 extra points of damage from the superiority die.
Yeah. There is a sort of a crazy maneuver here as you sort of sense where this creature is. You get an attack in, and just by pure, I think, instinct again here, you do something that sends it off balance. You're able to use this creature's size and bulk, your sort of skill with the blade, to bring this thing around. It spins awkwardly, and then you feel the sort of the earth tremor again, as if the spell had gone off. This creature lands, boom, and the invisibility drops. And I think for the first time you see the creature in front of you as well. You see this person, and it is in fact a dragonborn. A huge dragonborn. His body is unnaturally large, sort of bloated and twisted with muscle. He doesn't wear anything that seems to signify that he's any part of any clan of the dragonborn or anything like that. Some of them have certain clans, scarification, tattoos. His body is covered in scales that protrude into spikes in a lot of places as well. His eyes are sunken really deep into his skull under this very thick brow. He has 4 horns, 2 large sets, and 1 large set and 1 small set of horns. And he is covered in wounds. He's bleeding from so many slash wounds, puncture wounds. He's got arrows sticking out of him, broken in some places. The amount of damage to his huge body would absolutely kill anyone else. The elves that were here before that fought with him fought really well. It's ridiculous that he's still alive after the amount of damage that he clearly has on him. He's bleeding from everywhere. There's blood pouring out of his body as he lands here. sort of falls backwards awkwardly onto his rump, and Baron, you trip him up.
Then, with my extra attack, I plunge down on the creature for a 22 to hit because they're prone.
That is a hit.
10 more points of slashing damage.
Nice. Okay, yeah, he's still alive.
That ends my turn.
Okay, Cirrus.
Yeah, I run forward, and I'm screaming with rage. Like I'm filled with unbridled rage as I wield my sword and plunge it down into his body.
Okay, 19.
19.
Yeah, that hits. Give me the damage.
5 slashing.
Where do you plunge it into him?
I'm going for his neck. I wanted to chop his head off.
Yeah.
If possible.
You run forward screaming. He looks up at you and says,
No, sister!
You kill him.
the sword buries into his neck.
Well done.
I look down at the blood that's on my hands, down at my sword.
I turn to her and say, well done. You are no sister of this one.
Yes.
But you may be a step closer to kin with us.
Speak for yourself. She's just as dangerous as that thing on the ground.
I pull my sword from its neck and I wipe it on my shoulder, keeping his eye before sheathing my sword again. You sleep well enough, from what I can tell.
Oh, yes. I always know where you are, though. Don't I? And then my echo steps out from behind her.
So, do it then.
Are you asking me to kill you?
Would you?
I would never openly attack someone who wears our uniform, and you would know that if you knew anything about what we are and what we represent. But I expect you will someday. I expect that to be me lying on the ground someday, with your sword plunging into it,
Enough!
as I'm sure everyone else.
I look down on the corpse. We need to return. This may not
Yes,
be
sir.
the only one.
I salute and go to get the horses.
Cirrus, go inside. Collect all the tags of the fallen. Meet us by the horses.
I
And well
nod.
done.
Thank you, sir. I'm walking sort of backwards, still looking at Drakkar before I turn back and walk into the tower, collect the tags.
Yeah, I think as we see you sort of step through the doorway and start collecting the tags, we have a moment of seeing how young Cirrus looks here before we see Cirrus age as she gets a little older. The forest that is around Cirrus and around this tower, lush and green, fades to a blackened, withered forest. All of the trees turn to broken, blackened ash. And Cirrus, older now, in the forest, surrounded by Thrak, with Jildan and Sia, as we return to present day.